The parable of the barren fig tree is found in Luke 13 verses 6 to 9. This parable is a short but powerful story that teaches us about God's grace, mercy, and patience. In this devotional Bible study, we will explore the meaning of this parable and its significance for our spiritual lives. Verse 6, Then he told this parable, a man had a fig tree growing in his vineyard, and he went to look for fruit on it but did not find any. This parable begins with a man who had a fig tree growing in his vineyard. The vineyard represents the world, and the fig tree represents us as individuals. The man in this parable represents God, who is the owner of the vineyard and the creator of all things. The fact that the man went to look for fruit on the fig tree shows us that God is interested in seeing fruit in our lives. God desires for us to produce good fruit that will bring glory to Him. Verse 7, So he said to the man who took care of the vineyard, For 3 years now I've been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree and haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it use up the soil? The man who took care of the vineyard represents Jesus Christ, who is our mediator and intercessor before God. The fact that the fig tree did not produce fruit for 3 years shows us that God is patient and merciful. He gives us time to produce fruit in our lives. However, there comes a time when our lack of fruit becomes a burden to God. God desires for us to produce good fruit, and when we do not, we become a burden to Him. Verse 8, Sir, the man replied, Leave it alone for 1 more year, and I'll dig around it and fertilize it. The man's response to the owner of the vineyard represents Jesus' intercession for us. He pleads with God to give us more time to produce fruit in our lives. The fact that the man wants to dig around the fig tree and fertilize it shows us that God desires to nurture and care for us. He wants to provide us with everything we need to grow and produce good fruit. Verse 9, If it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then cut it down. The final verse of this parable reminds us that there is a limit to God's patience. If we do not produce fruit in our lives, we will be cut down. This is a sobering reminder of the importance of producing good fruit in our lives. We must take advantage of the time that God has given us and use it wisely to produce good fruit that will bring glory to Him. Being fruitful can take on many forms in our lives. Here are a few examples of how we can apply the concept of being fruitful in our daily lives. 1. Sharing the gospel. One way we can be fruitful is by sharing the good news of Jesus Christ with others. This can be done through personal evangelism, inviting people to church or Bible studies, or simply living out our faith in a way that is attractive to those around us. When we lead others to Christ, we are bearing fruit that will last for eternity. 2. Serving others. Another way we can be fruitful is by serving others. This can be done through volunteering at a local soup kitchen, visiting the sick or elderly, or helping someone in need. When we serve others, we are living out the love of Christ and demonstrating His compassion to those around us. 3. Developing Christ-like character. A third way we can be fruitful is by developing Christ-like character. This means growing in areas such as love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Galatians 5 verses 22 to 23. When we strive to become more like Christ, we are bearing fruit that will not only benefit ourselves but will also bless those around us. In summary, being fruitful means using our time, talents, and resources in a way that glorifies God and benefits others. Whether it's sharing the gospel, serving others, or developing Christ-like character, there are many ways we can be fruitful in our daily lives. May God give us the grace and wisdom to bear much fruit for His kingdom. In conclusion, the parable of the barren fig tree teaches us the importance of being fruitful in our lives. Whether it's sharing the gospel, serving others, or developing Christ-like character, we must use our time, talents, and resources in a way that glorifies God and benefits those around us. Let us pray that God will give us the grace and strength to produce good fruit in our lives, so that we may be pleasing to Him and make a positive impact on the world.